2015, an elite DFS Army Commando unit formed to bring high-level DFS strategy to the masses. Today, hated by DFS sharks and lineup sellers alike, they continue their quest to turn dope into DFS pros.
Everybody, this is your DFS Army Bold Calls NBA podcast for January 2nd, 2019. I am your host today, BoomersDaddy. Joining me as always from Sunnyside, California, Mr. Bear. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, what's happening?
I was bound and determined when I did the date to not say 18. If you notice the emphasis on 2019. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I can't complain. I didn't play any Nurkic last night, so you kind of know how my night went.
Yeah, I can kind of double up or double down on that because it was one of those things we talked yesterday. I didn't do a lot of research yesterday. I ran the DS, I ran the sim model, and I made it to where I was, playing as a player instead of a content provider for the most part yesterday. And we talked a little bit before, and I noticed that Nurk was popping on the sim model, the final sim model, and that I was like, okay, I'm really going to play him. And then I went to StatMuse, and I was like, ooh, for some reason he really kind of struggles against Willie Cauley-Stein. And Willie Cauley-Stein was a couple hundred cheaper on DK. I went to him over Nurk in cash on DK and played zero Nurk on Fanduel just because of that fact and ended up playing some Willie Cauley-Stein. Well, lo and behold, Nurk comes out and has a career night, and Willie Cauley-Stein basically does zilch.
Naturally.
Yeah, that's how the world works in DFS sometimes. Trust the process, understand what you're doing, realize exactly why you're doing what you're doing, and go from there. The same principles that applied on why I faded Andre Drummond was the same principles on why I faded Yusuf Nurkic. One worked out, one didn't.
Yeah.
So, got a nice little. Okay, so let's do some house cleaning here real quick. Today is the 2nd. It is Wednesday. There will be a podcast on Friday. And then you know what the people get next week?
Go ahead and tell.
They get 4 days of Bear and Boomer.
Booyah. And
then the week after that, they get 5 days of Bear and Boomer. We don't get a 3-day schedule, a three-day pod schedule until... Well, actually, it'll be a 2-day that week because Martin Luther King, we won't have a pod because the games are so spread out. So it'll just be that Wednesday and Friday, the week of Martin Luther King week, the 3rd week in January. So the 3rd full week in January. Mm-hmm. So that's a big thing. You guys are going to be getting a lot of podcasts, and if we can ever get some new stuff to figure out on how to working, we might have some extra special surprises for you. So just know that I am working behind the scenes to bring a lot of cool aspects to the podcast that we haven't had, that I'm finally now getting some time to work around or work into. I'm just trying to get them going. I'm having some technical difficulties as I teach myself these things. Bear can attest to that. I think he's getting frustrated with me telling him to get on Skype. All right, so let's talk about some of these outs here. We've got a ton of them. We're just going to go through. I'm going to go through them by game here. David Nwaba and Zizic for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are out. Patrick McCaw will make his debut tonight. We don't know exactly how much. Tristan Thompson is in tonight as well. For the Heat, James Johnson is in. Dwayne Bacon for Charlotte is in. Rodney Hood is questionable still. Deion Waiters is questionable, although leaning probably towards the probable mark. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Heat guards. Dwayne Wade is questionable with an illness. Jeremy Lamb is out. Let's see here. Zeller is out. Willie Hernangomez will be starting. Wesley Matthews is probable. Torian Prince is out for another couple games. Markieff Morris is out. John Collins is in. Otto Porter is making his return tonight. He is in, and Dwayne Dedmon is probable. That's the first slate of games that start here in a couple hours, or about 5 hours at 6 p.m. Eastern time, or 6 p.m. Central time. I'm sorry. 6:30. We have one game that kicks off. That's New Orleans and Brooklyn. Anthony Davis is probable. Allen Williams has been waived. He's going to China. Nikola Mirotic is out. D'Angelo Russell is probable after rest. Ed Davis is probable after rest. Alan Crabb is out. Next slate of games starting at 7 p.m. Central. Chandler Parsons, injury management. Stanley Johnson is questionable. Zaza, Robert Covington, Kyrie Irving, Jeff Teague, Robert Williams III, Derrick Rose, all out. Josh Okogie will be getting the start. Nikola Vucevic is probable. Jonathan Simmons is out. Robin Lopez is probable. DJ Augustine is probable. DJ actually went through shoot around the last time I saw, so he's good to go. Rashawn Holmes is probable for the Suns, and Jimmy Butler, we're actually waiting a word. I don't know if we've got it yet. I have not seen, but I know the league office is reviewing his scrum last night with Avery Bradley, and we're going to have to pay attention to that situation because grabbing somebody around the throat could lead to a suspension. LeBron James, Michael Beasley, Alex Abrinas, all out for the Hammer game. So, got a lot to go through, a lot of fun that we're going to have today because of it. Let's get to it, shall we? Awesome. Start at point guards. Yes, Russ is on the slate. No, I'm not avoiding him because of LeVar Ball, who just popped on my. He literally just popped up on my Twitter timeline. Lonzo Ball, I'm sorry. I'm not avoiding him because of that. I am avoiding him because of the 12K price tag.
Yeah.
And because I like so much below it. I might have one or two like small shot type lineups in there with him.
Obligatory.
Yeah, but I'm contractually obligated to play Russell Westbrook anytime he's on the slate. So he could be $55,000 out of my 60K cap, and I'm still going to play him.
Literally impossible.
Yeah, I know, but it's one of those things. I want to say congrats to Fanduel. Your normal guys got back from the holiday vacations, and you decided that chalk week was over, and you decided to make these guys prices where they should have been over the last week. DraftKings, you're falling behind. Like, I like sharp pricing. I know it's not always a good thing, because the casual fan can't build super teams, but it allows the skill to come out, and it makes you think more instead of just plugging in, three studs surrounded by a bunch of 4K guys that are going to go off for 40 points. So we haven't talked a lot about who our top point guards are. My top point guard actually of the night, at least in tournaments, might end up being Kemba Walker.
Whoa. Stop the presses.
This shows you how much I don't have, or I very, very rarely play based on biases, because I don't like Kemba at his price. I don't like Kemba as far as being a point guard that is very, very shot dependent. But with that said, with Jeremy Lamb out, with Cody Zeller out, with, Marvin Williams and Nick Batum kind of struggling and being, very inconsistent, I don't see how Kemba doesn't shoot the ball 30 times tonight.
He's going to have to.
If this game is even going to be remotely close, I don't see how he doesn't shoot it 30 times. I would rather go there over a Ben Simmons who can't shoot. Now, if you could combine Kemba's shooting with Simmons', secondary ancillary stats, then we have a 12K point guard.
Mm-hmm. Even more.
Yeah, probably even more. We have Russell Westbrook, we have James Harden, we have, Russell Westbrook from a couple years ago, not from this year. There's an interesting article out on another site, not a DFS site, but another site, kind of diving into the reasonings why he could be struggling. So I'll send it to you a little bit later. But
yeah, I read that this morning.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting because of, you and I both played sports. I played a lot of baseball. I was a pitcher too, so I know what he's going through. Not because of a rule change, but just because, you're switching up your routine, very superstitious and same thing especially when you've done it since you were 8 years old. So I understand where he's kind of going through it, but I also commend him for fighting through it and still not letting it completely hurt the team in every single game. So, anyways, let's talk about the Kemba Walker-Ben Simmons comparison.
Yep.
Simmons gets Phoenix. Now they are on the back end of a back-to-back. That is still a very, very positive ADVP matchup, as we obviously know.
Sure.
I'm really, really finding it hard to not pair these guys in a lot of lineups. But as far as tournaments, I think a lot of people are going to automatically go to Ben Simmons, and they're going to look right over Kemba Walker.
I mean, most likely, which puts you in a position where, again, this is just the way that I like to play tournaments. Playing both of them will be very unique with all the value at guards. And I want both of them in tournaments, in some tournaments.
Yeah, I do too. Now it's gonna take some finagling.
Some what?
Some finagling.
Finagling?
Some finagling, some working. Finagling it's a Southern term. My Southern boys within the Army will know what I mean. Some getting creative.
Finagling. Finagle.
Yeah, you're finagling. You're using it as a verb. Is it a verb or is it a noun?
Finagle, not finangle.
Finagle.
Finagle.
Finagle. Yeah, that's the noun, and then you're using it as a verb. Finagling.
Oh man.
Hey, dude, I might have spent a lot of years in Colorado, but the South has taken over this boy.
For sure.
I don't have nearly as bad as the Southern twang as some other people from down here, but I do. I have picked up a lot of the euphemisms, I guess. So, yeah, like you said, I like both of them. It's going to take some getting creative to work them and other pieces that I want in my lineups into those lineups. But I think that's it's a very, very good place to start when you're talking about point guard combos.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's I don't think you're going to have near the. I mean, let's just cover what the chalk looks like, right? I mean, the chalk is clearly going to be Terry Rozier. We know that
Yeah.
We know that Kyrie's out, so you're going to see, heavy. And frankly, I'll be one of. I mean, how do you not play him at 4,300 FanDuel? The guy's going to play with 30 minutes. He gets, Minnesota. Although Tyus Jones is a much better defender than Jeff Teague is, but I mean, at that price for that amount of minutes and the over under on this game, I mean, it's hard to avoid. It's only a 6-point game, and Rozier is going to be a big part of that. So you're going to see, probably over 50% Rozier, even in tournaments. So that's chalk A. And then chalk B is probably going to be a combination of Jeremy Lin and Devontae Graham. So Lin with Bazemore out has actually been running a lot of the two. And then they've had Bembry, who's a small forward, run the point guard with the second unit. And so I could see Lin playing 2 guard with both the second and the first unit, with Trae Young running the 1. So you're going to get basically an aggressive shooting Lin versus Washington. I mean, it's an upgrade there in terms of pricing. So I like that. I like all 3 of those guys. I'm fine with, but that's where your chalk is going to be. And if you want to differentiate, I don't see, how any of these guys are going to outscore Rozier, points per value, points per dollar wise. But
there's only one way that happens, and that's if Marcus Smart is locked in or not Marcus Smart, sorry. Tyus Jones is locked in on Terry Rozier following around like a wet puppy dog. And even then, the price that you're getting at Terry Rozier at 4,300 on FanDuel, and I'm looking right now on DK what he is. He can't be that much higher. He is, my gosh, where's Boston? There they are. He is 5,300 on DK. So he's a little bit tougher to swallow, but I still think he's going to be chalk over there. So I don't want anybody to think like he's not going to be. It's one of those things like I just ran 100 lineups, okay, in the DS for FanDuel, and this was with updated projections. He's in 100% of them.
Wow.
The only way that Terry Rozier does that, it's an outlier. If it doesn't happen, if he doesn't meet value, but is if Tyus Jones comes in locked in defensively and just absolutely shuts him down and stays out of foul trouble and causes him to have an off shooting night. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
There's maybe a 2% chance if
that. I mean, even if it does, I mean, with his assists upside and his steals upside and his rebounding upside, I mean, he's still going to get there.
Yeah. But he won't. He would be worth the fade in tournaments if that happens.
Yeah.
So, if you're keeping track at home, instead of going 100%, if you're building 100 lineups, instead of going 100%, you go 98%. It's whatever. But Terry Rozier is going to be the chalk. There's some other chalk that I don't know if it's good chalk or bad chalk yet, or still kind of trying to decide. You mentioned him a little bit, Devontae Graham. He's 3,900 on FanDuel. He is a lot cheaper on DK. He's 3,400 on DK. So I could see, pairing these guys both up at point guard and shooting guard on DK. And I could see pairing them up on FanDuel.
Yeah.
But it's just, if you're going to want to play guys like Paul George and Anthony Davis, you're going to need some value, and this is the obvious value as of this moment,
right,
is at the point guard position. So, what do you think of Spencer Dinwiddie tonight?
Oh man, I've got a lot of Dinwiddie. So it's funny because the last, week and a half, one of the things I've been doing in my VIP notes has been, pointing out games that I feel will be pretty low owned and that I absolutely love. And the one time that a lot of us used that. It was Brooklyn, Charlotte, I believe. Obviously, it went into, 1,000 overtimes, fine. But even before the overtimes, that game was just phenomenal. And this is kind of the same game for me. Brooklyn and New Orleans. It's going to be a frantic pace. You're going to have a lot of shots. You're going to have a lot of passing. You're going to have, not much defense. I believe that game is a pick 'em at the moment. So it's not going to, nobody's predicting a blowout. Brooklyn stays in every game. No matter who they play, they find a way to stay in every game. Win or lose, they're always close. And this is a game that I'm going to be targeting a lot of. And the only thing that I'm a little concerned about, and I'm not really because I'll explain why, is that D'Angelo Russell is coming off a rest day. And, he's going to be full strength and, he might, if he starts to get really hot, Coach Atkinson will be like, okay, you know what? Spence, let Russ do it. He's on fire. Let him go. But we've seen outside of the Lakers game, which we were all over, that Russell was going to want to torch us. In fact, he helped me win my ticket to the qualifier. So, that's how confident I was he was gonna tear us up. But, outside of that, it's been Dinwiddie closing games. It hasn't been Russell. And I think that is probably because of the defense. D'Angelo Russell has never been a good defender at this level. And they go with Dinwiddie. So, 6,800, you're going to see about 30 minutes. He's not going to see much of Drew Holiday. It'll probably be more Elfrid Payton. That's just a position that I really like. A spot that I really like.
Yeah, I'm finding it very, very hard to get off of Dinwiddie. I still think he's a little bit too cheap for today's slate anyways. And I don't think he's going to be highly owned. I really don't.
Definitely not.
That's something I'm really kind of looking at targeting here. Dennis Smith Jr., is he an option going up against Kemba and shooting and Kemba having to do it all? And we know he's coming off of an injury. He's 5,100 though, going to play 30 minutes. I know the Luka thing, but DSJ being at 5,100 is really intriguing, even with Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I'm guys. Let's not forget he's from North Carolina too.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Teams point guards just really torch Charlotte because Kemba does not defend, considering all he has to do is, run the offense. But, tough. He's, like you said, he's cheap. He's 5,100. We know he's going to play a ton of minutes. I like it a lot. I've got him, I don't know, maybe 2-3 lineups out of 25. So nothing crazy, but he's still in play for me.
Okay. Let's move on to shooting guards here. It's this game we're going to be talking about a lot, and obviously for a lot of different reasons. But Devin Booker, if we were to go to the one of the benefits you get for being a VIP member is you get access to our DFSA simulation model. We run simulations for each game based on the minutes and the stats that they've put up and stuff like that 5,000 times. Okay, and I run this a couple times a day, and we produce probabilities based on percentages that they're going to hit 4x, 5x, 6x, and fantasy points. One guy shocked me, and we'll talk about him here in just a moment.
Yeah.
But the one guy that I think everybody's going to go to and run to at this position is Devin Booker. Obviously, going up against Phoenix, he's basically the de facto point guard.
Yeah, he was Phoenix.
Philly.
Yeah.
On the back end of the back-to-back. Could be without Jimmy Butler. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about this situation right here?
I mean, I just think his ceiling is just so massive. It's going to be very difficult to get away from him here. I actually think the flocking is going to go to Beal, even though he's more expensive now. But people are going to see Hawks. People will see no Wall. People are going to go to Beal. So I think Booker goes a lot lower than Beal. But at least in cash games. But for me, right now I'm seeing Butler probable. I know that the league is still reviewing last night. Nothing surprises me anymore.
No,
So
exactly.
if they come back and say, yeah, Butler, you're gone for a game, you're starting for tonight, just go Booker and don't think twice. Just play Booker. There's nobody to stop him. If Butler plays, I'm going to lower my interest significantly because his job is going to be to slow down Booker. And when Butler's job is to slow you down, I can't play it. I'm sorry.
Especially after let's just call it what it is, a piss poor performance the last couple games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he could come out a little bit on the edgy side tonight. So.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so let's talk about Bradley Beal, who actually kind of shocked me. The sim model with Beal right now, and I won't give a lot of the stuff away. I'll save that for our VIPs. The sim model actually has him at still at a 50% chance to hit 50 fantasy points tonight, even with the elevated price tag. My math might be off a little bit. I was told that there wasn't going to be a lot of math, when it came to hosting a podcast, but 9,850. You give me a 58 or 50% chance to hit 50 points at 9,800. I still think that's 5x.
Yeah.
Or over 5x anyways. So I'm not that worried about it. Now,
I mean, we've been seeing him put up 50, 55 ever since Wall was gone, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, there's nothing that's an easy 5x. I mean, I've got no issue with it. That's why I said in cash, I mean, let's go ahead and get you 50 and move on. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Now, the question is in tournaments, depending on what the ownership percentages and everything are going to say, do you want to play that ownership percentage and pay for just 5x? And my answer would be no.
Yeah, no, so is mine. For me, it's going to be either Booker with no Butler. I like some Drew Holiday here.
Mm-hmm.
And I even like some Zach LaVine here.
You lost me.
So, and then you're gonna have your chalk with Okogie, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But there are a lot of options to choose from here. I don't think you have to go to Beal. I think you can get your 50-point upside elsewhere. I mean, you're gonna have Jaylen Brown playing 30 minutes, going up against frickin' Andrew Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no Covington today, so there's nobody on that team to defend. I mean, Tyus can defend, but he'll be stuck with Rozier and/or Smart. So Jaylen should run wild. I mean, you've got your 5, 6, 7x upside guys here that are not 10K. That you can go out and get your 10Ks or above in other positions. Center, power forward, namely. Point guard. So, yeah, I mean, again, cash, I don't mind playing Beal. Tournaments, I don't think I'm going to be playing him much. So far, I haven't put him in the single lineup, so.
Yeah, you lost me at the Levine. I understand it, I think. I actually like a guy right around the same price, a little bit more, though. I really like Luka Doncic tonight. I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of them just because 7,800 is hard to pay at this position when I can go down and get a D'Angelo Russell coming off a rest, when I can go get a Josh Okogie, when I can go get a Justin Holiday.
Jaylen Brown,
but I really like Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I do too. I've got him a decent amount as well already. It's just that game. That game is going to be great. Like, one of the things that I have started doing a lot of is I just play guys that play Dallas, because Dallas has been playing well, but look at their scores. I mean, they go over a lot in their games. And so that, there's a lot of scoring and not much defense there. What's the total? Yeah, that total's got 222 at the moment, and Charlotte's favored by 1.5. And so with Lamb out, you're not. I mean, he'll probably have some Batum on him. But that ball's going to move and the screens are going to be set. I don't think any one guy is going to be glued to him from Charlotte. So I'm on board too.
Yep.
But I think you're going to see a lot more Luka ownership than you are Levine. And I think, watching Levine here since he's returned, the ball is just almost exclusively in his hands, man. It's nuts. His usage rate is over 32%. I mean, he's finally going to be playing his normal 30, 32, 33 minutes a game, rounding himself back into form. So in tournaments, I'm going to be playing a decent amount of Levine. I might even pair him up with some Luka, since I like them both.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I get the reasoning behind it. It's just going to be hard for me unless I'm paying for Devin Booker or Drew Holiday. Right there at 8,600, it's going to be really, really hard for me to, pay up for both of these positions on FanDuel. And make no mistake about it, guys. Devin Booker is going to be the chalk here in tournaments in this game. Drew Holiday's your dollar for dollar pivot at the position, GPP pivot, I should say, because he's going to be next to nothing owned compared to Booker. So
absolutely.
Let's talk about Josh Okogie. He's getting the start tonight against Boston. Got him slated for around 37 minutes tonight.
That's a lot of minutes.
That is a lot of minutes, and at his price, it's not hard to figure out exactly why he can pay that off pretty quickly.
Yeah, and he'll be playing the small forward too, so he's not going to be, he's not going to get smart glued to him.
You could see a lot of Jaylen Brown though. Like
he will. He definitely will.
If the Celtics go small, to try to match up with the athleticism that the Timberwolves are going to be throwing out there, it'll be Rozier at the 1, Smart at the 2, and Brown at the 3 with Tatum at the 4 and Horford at the 5. Like that's probably what their starting lineup is going to be actually. Or wait.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, yeah. They're going to want one more scoring option besides Hayward with the second unit, so they might bring Jalen off the bench, but we'll see.
Well, who would they start then?
They have been known, so it's definitely going to be Rozier, and then it's going to be Smart, and then I could probably see Stevens going with his, Ajale or Asamalale or whatever his name is. He likes to do that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a good point. Yeah, because that actually makes a little bit more sense now that we kind of think about it. So, he's going to see a lot of Jaylen Brown. I'm not that worried about it. I normally don't pick on Jaylen Brown defense, but I mean he's 3,500, so, and he does a lot more than just score. Like I don't need him to just score. So it seems like we're saying that a lot about these Timberwolves guys outside of Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, who are going to be their two big scoring options. Let's talk about Wiggins for a second. I'm off.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I haven't played Wiggins in a long time. Maybe once all year.
Yeah, I think I think we've recommended him like once or twice all year.
And you tell me now that he's going to be, have Marcus Smart on him. I mean, I'm not really interested.
Yeah, even with the uptick in usage, that usage ends in a lot of bad shots right now. So he just doesn't look like he's interested in even playing basketball. Jaylen Brown, obviously, he's going to be another chalky guy. 4,500. He's going to play 30 minutes probably more, honestly, and he's got 35 to 40 point upside. He can easily get to close to 8 to 10x tonight.
Oh yeah.
So, in fact, our VIP sim model has him at a 64% chance to reach 6x. So, I'm not going to give all the goodies out for the sim model, and obviously, as news changes, it'll change. But I don't mind giving out some of the chalkier options and their percentages to hit.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
Anybody else down here at the bottom? I know there's a couple that I want to save for VIPs, but
can I talk about the Laker guard?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
He wasn't one of them.
Okay, so I have a decent amount of KCP. I think KCP, I mean, since Rondo and LeBron have been sitting, he's been playing close to 30 minutes. I mean, not exactly at 30 mark, but high 20s. He's a guy that as soon as he touches the ball, he's how do I shoot? He just dying to shoot every time he touches the ball, and he's streaky. So he's obviously a GPP only type of play, high risk, high reward. I shouldn't say high risk, medium risk, reasonable reward kind of thing. And I've got plenty. I don't think he's going to see any of the Thunder's good defenders. He's not going to see Paul George. He's probably going to end up seeing a lot of Schroeder, the second unit. So that's what I'm looking. But anyways, so KCP, and then keep a lookout. It looks like Dwayne Wade is questionable. And so we'll break down for you guys what that means if he misses.
Yeah, the whole Miami guard situation is a little cloudy right now because we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Dion Waiters. We don't know if he's going to be on a minutes limit. We don't know what Dwayne Wade's going to do. So that's kind of a fluid situation, and we're going to have to kind of see exactly how that goes. So, all right, let's move on to small forwards here. Top of the list, obviously, is the one, Paul George.
It's not even close for me. I mean, this is the spot you just have to play. Also, he'll be high owned, playing at home for him, Los Angeles. I mean, who the hell's going to guard him right now? So yeah.
Well, Brandon Ingram's going to try.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying who's going to be on him. I'm saying who's going to actually stop him.
No, but you didn't say stop. You said guard.
Yeah. Well, I know who's going to guard him, but there's nobody who's going to stop him. So, I'm seeing at least 6x here for me. So, I'm loading up.
Yeah, it's he's part of my core right now. So, I'll talk a little bit about more of that situation with Josh Richardson, Justice Winslow, as we get information on what's going to happen with Dwayne Wade and Dion Waiters. Otto Porter Jr. is going to be back tonight. Going to slot him in for around 25 to 27 minutes. Unfortunately, this takes my interest a little bit off of Trevor Ariza in cash games at the position, but I still don't mind going to him or Jeff Green in tournaments. The reason is because Markieff Morris is still out, so they're still going to see a lot of court time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, Gordon Hayward. We got these, we got Kyrie out. Gordon Hayward's 5,300. Going to get some second unit usage.
Yeah, he should. I mean, I don't hate it. I just, there's just a lot of other guys that I like more. You mentioned some of them already, like, Justice Winslow is really priced up here now, but rightfully so. I mean, he plays point guard. Again, he's going up against Cleveland. I mean, how do you pass, right? You've got TJ Warren going up against Philly. I mean, there's just a lot. I mean, we talk about another one of my favorites here, and that's Bembry. So I don't know that I can pay for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually a guy like a little bit lower that I think I'm probably going to have a decent amount of. Joe Harris for the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm.
4,800, going to play 30 minutes. His shot's falling in this game. Yes, please.
Right. Right.
Um,
There's a guy that we should talk about here, and I've tried to roster him. I've tried to have faith in him. He's just not the same player this year, fantasy wise, and that's going to be Nicholas Batum, because you've got with Zeller and Lamb both out. I know Zeller is for sure. I think Lamb is doubtful. No, so not officially out yet, but
no, he's officially out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so with those two out, I mean, there is supposed to be more offense available because Lamb is a volume offense guy. Him and Kemba both. But I mean, you would hope that basically the entire coaching staff is like, look, we need you to score now. Be more aggressive. So he's all the way down to 500 on FanDuel, which is super cheap.
Yes, 500 would be super cheap. He's 5,000.
I said 4,500.
Oh, I thought you said 500. Sorry. He's 4,500, yes.
And it's just, even at that cheap price with that scenario, I'm still super hesitant because I haven't seen any aggressive offense from him at all. So it'll be tough, but I'm probably going to have a couple of shares.
Yeah, it's really difficult right now the way that he's been playing. He hasn't really had that breakout game or anything come into effect. But with that said, you would think with Jeremy Lamb out, with Cody Zeller out, that he's going to see an uptick in usage. And we can actually say the same thing for Marvin Williams as well.
Yeah.
There's just a couple. These guys have to play better. If Charlotte wants to, one, if they want to make the playoffs, two, if they want to actually keep Kemba Walker past this year, these guys have to start playing better and become those secondary pieces that we thought they were going to be last year. So it's just one of those things, like, you've got to understand exactly what the risk here is when rostering these two. It's not going to be easy to swallow, and you definitely don't want them in cash games. So
Agreed.
All right, let's talk about power forwards here. Anthony Davis had a hurt tummy the other night.
Yeah.
And guys, if you think that, like, we don't get tilted and hit hard by these, I think 85 to 90% of my money had Anthony Davis tied to it on New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, absolutely did.
So it's not just you guys. I mean, we literally had no inclination all day, and then all of a sudden, like, it didn't even give us, like, I had 80% or 70% of them on DraftKings. I didn't even get the notification in time quick enough to switch to do any sort of global swap or anything.
Yeah, no, I didn't either, and I also played them a lot. And guys, understand something. Most of our members played decent amount. Us coaches, we play a shitload. Pardon my language, but we play a shitload. Like, we put a lot of money into this. So, for me, for example, to be in 1,000 that night on 80% Anthony Davis, who all of a sudden gets scratched, I didn't really tilt. It sucks, but it's the nature of what we do. The good news is I still had 20% that didn't happen, right? And that 20% actually ended up making me profitable on the night because Davis was like 70% owned. And so that 20, 25, whatever it was one of my larger dollar amount single entries, I ended up going without Davis just because I like the build. And I ended up finishing like 10th place. And so, I mean, it worked out. Like, it's going to work in your favor as often as it works against you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of the way it is. And like we just said, like, for those of you playing $10, $15, it's totally respectable. But for you to be yelling and screaming and tilting when people like us are playing over 1,000, and it happened to us, and you don't hear a peep from us, it kind of tells you everything you need to know. I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and it's going to work out. So, anyways, back to tonight. He's probable. I mean, this matchup does not get any better. He's probably going to be chalk again. It is what it is.
Yeah, especially if we get, for sure word before.
I think even without, man. Unless he becomes questionable or something. I mean, he was sick. Like, if he wasn't hurt. Like, that was 2 days ago. He's coming back. So, I think he's still going to be chalked. Either way. I mean, which is fine. I mean, he's got 80-point upside, in a game that's really close. I mean, I don't see how you don't play AD, frankly.
Yeah.
So, outside of that, I find myself wanting to have at least one Laker and one Thunder. And that at least one Thunder, as I made clear, is Paul George. And so I think the other side of that might have to be Kyle Kuzma. If it's not Kuzma, it's Lonzo, or if it's not Lonzo, it's Lonzo and Kuzma both, maybe. But I want to have one piece of this. And so for me, it's probably going to be Kyle, because right now Kyle is the focal point of the offense. Like, he basically is the shooter. So that's that. And then also keep something in mind with Kyrie out. The offensive onus is going to be also very much on Jason Tatum.
Yes.
And Tatum will likely see a combination of Taj and Sarge most of the night. Taj is a good defender, Sarge not so much.
That's putting it kindly.
Yeah, I'm being polite here. So, Tatum's under 7K, guys. He's 6,700 on FanDuel. Like, that's money. So, that's one of my favorite plays there at power forward as well. I'll probably pair a lot of AD with Tatum. And for my non-AD lineups, it'll be maybe like a Kuzma and a Tatum. I mean, there's more. Like there's a lot of guys. This is, I don't want to say stacked, but it's got good quality power forwards. It's not stacked like shooting guard where top to bottom you can legit fit guys in there. But from the top to the mid to the high-low range, there's a lot of talent at the power forward today. So this one is going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's. I'm going to have a fair amount of AD, and I'm going to be pairing him a lot with, Kuzma and with Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is under 6K against Detroit. I don't mind going back there. I do like my bigs and slower matchups, which is why we'll talk about a guy here in just a moment. I do like Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm not chasing the price hike with Wendell Carter Jr. now.
Yeah.
He went off one game and they chucked him up. Some other guys I've got interest in, like we mentioned Dario Saric. That's an option.
Cheap.
It's cheap. Josh Jackson's popping right now. I'm not gonna find myself down there too much. Jeremy Grant is another option.
Yep.
And I love Marcus Morris tonight.
Yep.
I don't know why he always is one of the first people I kind of gravitate to when one of these guys is out for Boston. But he just, I love him right now. So.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, again, when you take a guy that has the ball in his hands almost all the time out of the game, a lot opens up. And the thing that we have to be careful with is not to jam in 4 Celtics in your lineup.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna have 4 guys crushing. You're gonna have to pick 2. And I think by default, one of those is going to be Rozier, kind of no matter what. Well, it's going to be Rozier or Jalen. One of those two, because they're both so cheap that you have to have at least one of them. In cash, you can play both. But tournaments, pick one of those guys and then go between a Tatum and or Marcus Morris. I mean, I wouldn't play all 4 of those guys in any scenario.
No, absolutely not. All right, let's talk about centers here. Karl-Anthony Towns has kind of gone nutso lately.
You can say that again.
With that said, for me, I understand the history against Boston. I don't know if I can do it. Just the way, not saying that he's not a bad play, but the way that the roster construction is leading me right now in tournaments, I don't know if I can do it.
No, it's tough. He's expensive. It's tough. It's not that, excuse me, it's not that I don't have any of him in my lineups. I do, but that 10-5 price tag, I mean, one of the things that Boston, and namely Brad Stevens, who leads the strategy there, does is he identifies the opposing team's player that he is set on getting the ball out of his hands. And that's, the difference is he has the personnel to do that with, let's say, a Devin Booker or, a guard or a forward. With Cat, he doesn't have that kind of personnel anymore with Baines not being there. And, Horford can certainly defend, but it's a tough position for them to be in because, without Rose, without Teague, now without Covington, I mean, it's tough defensively. They're gonna struggle to guard Cat. They really are, and he's going to have to put up a lot of the offensive production for them to have a chance. So, I don't mind playing Cat. I've got a decent amount.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's just, I've got Vooch staring at me that's, $700 cheaper.
Sure. If he plays, you've got Embiid. If he plays versus Phoenix, I mean, Ayton who doesn't play defense, and, they've got a lot of that talking back and forth, which, I mean, Joel talks to everyone, or about everyone. But
they're friends, so.
Yeah, but he did make it very clear. He's like, don't compare me to him. I actually play defense. There was a lot of talk, and NBA players do not forget that kind of stuff.
Nope.
So, I don't mind playing. I actually have a decent amount of Ayton, whether Embiid plays or not. If he doesn't play, even better. I don't really care. I'll play him regardless. You mentioned Vucevic. Vucevic put up, a 70 versus the Bulls?
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple weeks ago. A guy that I am really loving tonight is Marc Gasol versus Detroit. I mean, I've got a lot of Mark already in my lineup. And so, I mean, you and I were talking about this offline. The most difficult part about playing FanDuel, for you guys that play FanDuel, is you only get one center. And if you don't pick the right center, you're probably not going to win. Because, like last night, I played Jokic, and who else did I play?
Embiid.
And Embiid. Both put up 60s. No. Nuggets come out and puts up an 88. Sorry, I know you picked the guy that's at 60, but you lose. And so, and you can't win. So it's really important for you to pick the right center on FanDuel more than DK. DK, you can play multiples. Fantasy drafts, you can play up to 5 if you wanted to. So, I mean, there's different ways, but here, you can't. So, I like to kind of mix and match my centers. I may have a little bit of interest in tournaments only large field and Hassan Whiteside. With Tristan back, he's gonna be playing more against another big body, which is where I like him. And then you're gonna have your utter chalk in Willie Hernangomez. So for you guys that don't know, Zeller is out. I think he broke his fibula. He's going to be out for a while, so Hernangomez is getting the start. Now, they're going to need a body to defend DeAndre Jordan, and it's going to be between Hernangomez and Bismack Biyombo. Those are the two guys that they're going to need the most. So between those two, probably Hernangomez has the most upside because the team wants to play him over Biyombo. He's been active. Biyombo has been inactive for months. He's perfectly healthy. He's ready to play. He's been working out and practicing, but they haven't played him. They're paying him a lot of money too. So don't know what's there, but Hernangomez is the guy they want to see, and he's still really young, and he's the guy that they want to give the most opportunity to. And you know they can't go small, and with DeAndre Jordan out there, they need a big, and Hernangomez is their big.
Yep, exactly. So Bismack's not in play, but he is going to be a guy that can eat up about 12 to 15 minutes or so of that time with DeAndre Jordan. Willie Hernangomez is going to be that main guy and play probably around 23 to 25 minutes. So
yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more, frankly.
The only reason I think that is because I think they might throw in the Marvin Williams and Frank Kaminsky combo out there for a little while.
They could, but between those two guys, Jordan's just going to get every offensive rebound imaginable.
Right, but Jordan's not going to play, 48 minutes.
No, but he'll play his 32, right? So if we're seeing Hernangomez playing, let's say 25, 23. That's what, 10 minutes of game time without a true center? Or are we thinking Biyombo plays those 10?
I'm thinking Biyombo plays those 10 to 12.
That makes sense.
And that leaves you around 10 minutes of, mixing and matching with the Frank and Marvin combo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see it happening a lot, but that's the reason why Frank Kaminsky hasn't been mentioned, and he won't be mentioned.
Yeah.
So, unless he comes out in the first 5 minutes that he gets, or the 3 minutes that he gets, and just starts raining and draining threes, he's not going to get a lot of run tonight. I don't see it.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't, because I hope he stays at minimum price, and then the next game where they play a smaller ball team, we can load up.
Exactly. So, all righty, man. Anything else we got before we get out?
Nope, that's all I got, man.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for us today. For myself, for Bear, for the DFS Army, we gone.